What does it mean to date in the Middle Ages? We often think of this era as a time of chivalry and romance. Did people actually fall in love in the Middle Ages? It was less about falling in love and more about practicality. But that doesn't mean that love didn't exist at all. First and foremost, marriage was seen as a means of continuing one's bloodline and securing the family name. In a time when inheritance was often determined by primogeniture, meaning that the eldest son inherited the family's wealth, as we have mentioned, medieval people had their own ways of expressing love and affection. If you ask this question, you rewrite on the money, because courtship in the Middle Ages was quite different from the casual dating we are used to today. Proposing marriage in the Middle Ages was a serious business, and it was undone with a single rose and a sonnet. Instead, it was more of a formal affair involving a lot of planning and preparation. Eligible bachelors had to go through a series of steps to ensure that they had their lady's father's blessing before popping the question. Forget about swiping right on Tinder. Medieval courtship involved a whole lot more strategy and a little bit of luck. Marriage in the Middle Ages was not all about love, but rather a way to join families and ensure the continuation of bloodlines. As a result, the typical marriage age during this time was much younger than it is today. Girls were often married off in their early teens, while boys tended to wed in their early 20s, even if it was not always openly or freely given. They developed. In fact, it was much more complicated than it is today. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching. If a couple wanted to end their marriage, they had to go through a lengthy and expensive legal process that often involved the intervention of the church. Unique customs and traditions that allowed them to connect with their partners without violating societal norms or religious beliefs. One of the most common ways that medieval couples expressed their love was through secret means, such as exchanging letters, gifts, or meeting in private. This was especially true for young lovers who were not yet married and had to keep their relationship hidden from their families and society. Love letters were an extremely popular way for couples to communicate their affection without drawing too much attention to themselves. The secrecy surrounding these letters added an element of excitement and intrigue to the relationship, and they often became treasured keepsakes for the recipients. Similarly, exchanging gifts was another common way for medieval lovers to express their affection. Gifts could range from simple tokens of love, such as flowers or jewelry, to more practical items that symbolized their bond. These gifts were not only a physical representation of their love, but also a way to communicate it without directly stating their feelings. Additionally, couples would often find ways to meet in private, such as in secluded gardens or at night, where they could be alone without fear of being interrupted. These stolen moments allowed them to strengthen their bond and nurture their love without the prying eyes of others. While these methods of expressing love may seem subtle compared to our modern standards, they were significant ways for medieval couples to connect and communicate their affection in a society that often limited their freedom and privacy. And title, it was crucial for families to have children who would carry on their legacy, but also a time of love and affection. Despite the societal norms and expectations, people found ways to express their love through secret means, such as exchanging letters, gifts, or meeting in private. While arranged marriages were common, love marriages did occur, and couples found ways to navigate the complexities of love in a changing world. Whether it was the thrill of a secret love affair or the quiet comfort of a loving marriage, medieval people experienced the full range of human emotions, including the joys and challenges of love. Second, marriage was also a way of maintaining social standing and forming alliances within the community. By marrying within one social class, families could solidify their position and gain favor with other influential households. Alliances between families were often formed through marriage, creating a network of interconnectedness that helped maintain social order. Lastly, marriage was seen as a means of economic stability. Marriages were often arranged between families who had compatible wealth and property, ensuring that the union would not jeopardize the financial security of either party. It was common for dowries to be exchanged, which were payments made by the bride's family to the groom or his family to ensure the bride's economic well-being within the marriage. These payments could include cash, property, or other valuable goods. It was just viewed and expressed differently. Arranged marriages were not uncommon, and families often had a significant say in who their children married. However, this does not mean that love had no place in medieval relationships. Secret marriages and elopements did occur, demonstrating that individuals sometimes chose to pursue love and relationships outside of their family's approval. In fact, courtly love, a literary and cultural movement that emerged during the Middle Ages, celebrated the idealization of romantic love between a knight and a lady. Despite the emphasis on practicality in marriage, the human desire for love and connection remained a powerful force in medieval society. People did experience love and affection, and they found ways to express it within the confines of their time's expectations and restrictions. When it comes to romance during the Middle Ages, it is important to remember that it was not uncommon for young people to fall in love, and for couples to face opposition from their families or society. Despite the challenges, they found ways to express their love through secret means such as exchanging letters, gifts, or meeting in private. The idea that love was a prerequisite for marriage was a relatively modern concept and goes against the grain of medieval thinking. There's an old saying, "Never trust atoms. They make up everything." There are over 100 billion atoms in the observable universe. We often think of the Middle Ages as a faraway time that was quite different from our own. However, despite the differences, there's a sense of familiarity about how people interacted in the Middle Ages. This is because underneath the changes in technology and society, the core nature of human interactions has remained surprisingly consistent. Medieval people were much like us. They experienced joy and sorrow, hope and fear, desire and love. While our understanding of psychology is vastly different from that of medieval thinkers, we can recognize the universality of human experiences across time. The feelings that drove medieval people to seek connection, community, and affection are much the same as those that motivate us today. The desires for companionship and love are fundamental aspects of the human condition, shaping how we form relationships and navigate the complexities of emotions regardless of the time period. Knights errant, damsels in distress, and true love's kiss. In modern times, we associate falling in love with our culture of dating, which may lead us to wonder, how did people find their special someone during the Middle Ages? How did they flirt, court, and show affection? Well, if you can call what happened back then dating, it looked nothing like it does today. And the answer is a lot more complicated than you may think. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we'll explore the scandalous world of medieval romance. In the Middle Ages, finding a partner and getting married was mainly about ensuring the continuation of one's bloodline, maintaining social standing and economic stability. There were several reasons why people in the Middle Ages pursued marriage. While these reasons may seem practical and detached from the idea of love, it's important to remember that love was not the primary consideration in most medieval marriages. So how exactly did people in the Middle Ages show affection? The medieval period was not just a time of knights and chivalry. Now let's move on to some interesting questions about the topic. How did courtship work in the Middle Ages? How did people propose marriage in the Middle Ages? What were the typical marriage ages in the Middle Ages? How did divorce work in the Middle Ages? Divorce was not unheard of during the Middle Ages, but it was certainly not easy to come by. What do you think about medieval romance? Leave your answers in the comment section below. Love stories still existed, many tragic. Lovers, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Let's jump in. The problem John was already married, but that didn't stop Rachel's feelings from growing stronger and stronger. Traveling musicians, storytellers, and poets would gather in taverns and at festivals, sharing tales of romance and chivalry. This crazy era was all about power, religion, and keeping things super-duper clean. There were different types of love celebrated during this period. Courtly love was a popular theme, and it involved a knight's devotion to a noblewoman, often from afar. Knights would compose poetry and perform acts of valor to win her favor and affection. Then there was romantic love, a passionate and all-consuming kind. Medieval romances glorified the idea of two people falling deeply in love and overcoming obstacles to be together. It was a time when love stories were considered scandalous and shocking, but they captivated the imagination of the people. There was also religious love, which celebrated the bond between God and humanity. Religious figures emphasized the importance of love as a way to connect with the divine. The love between friends was also cherished, and bonds of camaraderie were strong during the Middle Ages. Friendships were considered valuable and were celebrated through acts of kindness, loyalty, and mutual support. Family love was another important theme. The medieval period placed a strong emphasis on family ties and the love between parents and children, siblings, and extended family members. It was common for families to live together in close-knit communities, and the love and support within these families were highly valued. But amidst all these forms of love, there was also a darker side. Forbidden love was a popular trope in medieval tales, and stories of lovers who faced societal taboos and challenges due to their relationships were widely enjoyed. The thrill of the forbiddens and the pursuit of love in the face of adversity made for compelling narratives. So when a love story actually happened, people couldn't get enough. It was like a breath of fresh air in a stuffy room. Until next time, keep an eye out for those sneaky glances and stolen kisses. You never know when love might strike. True love stories were a big deal back then. It was a time when arranged marriages and political alliances ruled the dating scene. Love wasn't really a priority, unless you were secretly dating someone. Peeking over the walls of the neighboring kingdoms, people craved a good romance. It was like reality TV back in the day. So when a knight won a battle and captured a princess, you better believe the crowd was rooting for them to fall in love. They wanted to see that magical transformation happen. Even the clergy jumped on the bandwagon, weaving tales of heavenly love to inspire the masses. It was all about finding love in a hopeless place. They needed those feel-good stories to keep their spirits up. Plus, if the nobility bought into the whole love thing, maybe they'd be less likely to engage in power struggles and warmongering. Who wouldn't want to see the leaders of rival kingdoms becoming besties over a shared love for, each other? In the end, love stories were a welcome distraction from the cutthroat world of medieval politics and warfare. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human heart could still triumph. Through their songs and poems, they kept the memories of legendary lovers alive, ensuring that their stories would be passed down for generations. And let's not forget the power of word of mouth. People would whisper the latest gossip and romantic rumors, creating a buzz around secret affairs and forbidden loves. These tales often had happy endings, providing a welcome escape from the harsh realities of medieval life. Whether celebrating the triumph of true love or mourning the loss of a beloved medieval bards. And storytellers wove magic through their tales, captivating audiences and leaving a lasting impact on their listeners. So next time you hear a classic love story, remember the medieval bards who immortalized these tales through their art. Soon they were caught in a whirlwind romance, meeting in secret and writing passionate love letters. But their tryst was doomed to fail. Eventually, John's wife found out about the affair and took revenge. She spread rumors about Rachel, accusing her of being a witch. The town folks fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And before Rachel knew it, she was arrested and charged with witchcraft. Despite her claims of innocence, no one believed her. And on March 18, 1476, she was burned at the stake. Talk about a tragic end to a forbidden love story. Could this be a cautionary tale of what not to do? We'll leave that for you to decide. Medieval Europe is usually remembered for its royalty, religion, and revolts. But did you know it also gave us some iconic love stories? From star-crossed lovers to forbidden romances, this era had it all. Ready for a wild ride back in time? Here are 12 medieval love stories that will make you swoon, cringe, and maybe even cry a little. Spoiler alert, things get steamy, dark, and surprisingly relatable. Keep watching to find out how love conquers all, sometimes literally. You won't believe the lengths people went to for love back then. Separated arranged marriages weren't uncommon, but true love still happened. Picture this. Romeo and Juliet meets medieval France. You got King Stephen and Queen Isabella, madly in love despite their noble duties. But their romance wasn't all sunshine and roses. When King Stephen passed away, Queen Isabella found herself in a sticky situation. Her son, King Louis, was all grown up and set to marry a royal pain in the butt from England. Talk about an unwelcome suitor. Determined to escape this royal nightmare, Isabella did the unthinkable. She ditched her son's wedding and fled to England with none other than her former flame, the now widowed Queen Eleanor of England. Their secret rendezvous became legendary, complete with secret notes and hidden trysts, the ultimate betrayal. While Louis eventually found his own love story, his parents' scandalous affair remained a hot topic in medieval gossip. Perhaps they just couldn't resist a second chance at love, proving that even royals can't escape the pull of true love. By war noble women who ran off with peasants' secret affairs, punished by death. Bards and poets turned these tales into legends, because people wanted to believe in love, even when the world didn't. Lovers separated by war. The noble woman who ran off with a peasant. Now let us transport ourselves to 13th century France, where a young woman named Marie de France found herself torn between two worlds. As the daughter of a wealthy landowner, she was expected to marry a fellow noble. But sparks flew when she met a dashing peasant named Oliver. Despite their different social classes, their love grew, and soon they were exchanging secret letters and stolen kisses. But their romance was doomed from the start. Their families disapproved, the community whispered, and the odds were stacked against them. Undeterred, the star-crossed lovers eloped and vanished into the countryside, leaving behind a trail of scandal and intrigue. Did they live happily ever after? Well, not so fast. The couple faced prejudice, poverty, and constant fear of being separated. But through it all, their love endured. And in the end, their story became a timeless tale of forbidden love and the courage it takes to follow your heart. Will they face the consequences of their actions? Only time will tell. Secret affairs punished by death. Back in the year 1476, there was a young woman named Rachel who fell head over heels for a man named John. Bards and poets immortalized these tales. During the Middle Ages, bards and poets played a vital role in preserving and popularizing love stories. People wanted to believe in love, even when the world didn't. The Middle Ages was a rough time for romance, but people still dreamed of love conquering all. But wait, there's more to this story. The concept of love during the Middle Ages was quite complex and multifaceted. It wasn't just about butterflies and roses. What's your favorite medieval love story? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more historical tales. They say that love conquers all. In the modern age, we live out these epic love stories through social media posts and TikTok dances. We share romantic comedies and swoon over K-pop music videos. Our own love lives feel like a rom-com sometimes, but we're also keenly aware of how the algorithm pushes the perfect pairing. However, the way love is expressed and perceived can vary greatly across cultures and historical periods. The Middle Ages were no exception. Despite the prevailing emphasis on duty and societal obligations, there were instances of genuine affection and love between individuals. Women in the Middle Ages, while often constrained by societal expectations, were not necessarily devoid of agency. Arranged marriages often involved families assessing a potential partner's suitability based on various factors such as social status, wealth, and family connections. However, once the match was made, the individuals themselves could still develop genuine affection and build strong bonds. There were instances of couples defying societal norms and pursuing love on their own terms. Love during the Middle Ages was a complex interplay of societal norms, religious beliefs, and personal emotions. While arranged marriages were prevalent, particularly among the upper classes, the concept of falling in love was not alien to medieval society. Through gift-giving, handwritten letters, music, dance, and poetry, medieval couples expressed their affection amidst a culture that often prioritized duty and societal obligations. Furthermore, instances of secret marriages and open rebellion against arranged unions demonstrate that despite the constraints of the time, the human heart yearned for love and companionship. The medieval period, therefore, reminds us that the pursuit of love is a timeless endeavor that transcends historical boundaries. Secret marriages. Some couples chose to marry in secret, eloping or obtaining annulments from the church if their original marriages were deemed invalid. Open rebellion. Others openly rebelled against arranged marriages, choosing to follow their hearts rather than societal expectations. Enduring persecution. Unfortunately, these acts of defiance often came at a cost. Couples who pursued love outside of societal norms frequently faced persecution, banishment, or even death. The story of Romeo and Juliet, although set in the Renaissance, serves as an enduring testament to the struggles and sacrifices individuals were willing to make for love during times when societal pressures and restrictions ran high. The notion of courtly love, which emphasized chivalry, romance, and the importance of the lady's affection, also emerged during the medieval period. While courtly love was primarily associated with the upper classes, its influence on perceptions of romance and the expression of love had a broader cultural impact. If you want to learn more about love in the Middle Ages, check out the series in the description. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an exciting episode. Until next time, happy swooning. Whether you're a hopeless romantic or just curious about history, we've got something for everyone. Some women were able to negotiate advantageous marriages, securing better terms for themselves and their families through skillful diplomacy and negotiation. The case of Eleanor of Aquitaine, who not only negotiated the marriage treaty between her father and King Louis VII of France, but also played an active role in managing royal estates and affairs, stands out as an example of female empowerment during the medieval period. Her story challenges the notion that medieval women were entirely powerless in matters concerning their own lives and demonstrates that they could be influential players in shaping their destinies. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through time to explore the intricacies of love in the Middle Ages. And that leaves us wondering, how did they do it before? How did people fall in love in the Middle Ages? Gift-giving was a significant way to express affection and solidify relationships during the Middle Ages. Gifts could range from simple tokens of love, such as flowers or handwritten letters, to more elaborate presents, including jewelry and artwork. For instance, the exchange of rings was a common practice, symbolizing commitment and fidelity. The written word. Letters and poetry were also popular means of expressing love during the medieval period. Handwritten letters allowed lovers to communicate their affection and longing when they were apart. Poetry, often composed by troubadours or traveling musicians, was a common way to express romantic sentiments and celebrate courtly love. Music. Music played a vital role in expressing love during the Middle Ages. Troubadours and minnesingers, wandering musicians, composed and performed songs that celebrated themes of courtly love, chivalry, and the beauty of the beloved. Dance. Dancing was another important aspect of medieval courtship rituals. At social gatherings and festivals, couples would dance together as a way to express their interest in each other and eventually declare their love. Flirting. Flirting was an essential part of medieval courtship, often taking place within the confines of societal norms and expectations. Men would often compliment their chosen ladies, profess their admiration, and engage in witty banter to win their affection. It was crucial for individuals to maintain a certain decorum while flirting. The art of falconry. Falconry was a popular hobby among the nobility during the Middle Ages. It was not only a sport, but also a symbol of power and prestige. Interestingly, some medieval texts mention falconers using their birds to deliver messages or gifts to their beloveds. Imagine a beautifully trained falcon swooping down to deliver a love letter or a small token of affection. In this series, we bring you tales of romance from history. And today we're answering the age-old question: did people fall in love in the Middle Ages? When you think of medieval romance, your mind might conjure images of knights in shining armor, damsels in distress, and epic quests. And while this era did have its fair share of chivalrous knights, most medieval folk weren't living those fairy tales. So how did ordinary men and women find love during those times? Well, let's dive in. The concept of falling in love is a universal human experience that transcends time and societal norms. Let's start by busting a myth. The idea that medieval marriages were always arranged for political gain or economic benefit is a common misconception. While such strategic marriages did occur, especially among the nobility, the majority of medieval folk were not part of the ruling class. Their marriages were often more about uniting families than consolidating power. Take, for example, the Peasants' Revolt of 1381 in England. This uprising, primarily led by peasants, had its roots in discontent over heavy taxes and oppressive labor laws. During this time, Wat Tyler, a prominent rebel leader, declared his opposition to the system that allowed nobles to exploit the commoners. His actions exemplified the deep-rooted frustration and inequality that existed during the medieval period. Such revolts shed light on the harsh realities faced by ordinary people and the lengths they went to fight for their rights and dignity. Moreover, the image of the passive, subservient woman who had no say in her marriage is also a stereotype that doesn't hold up. Now, let's talk love. While arranged marriages were common, it's important to note that the concept of love wasn't absent from medieval relationships. Here are some ways medieval couples showed they cared. Gift giving. And here's where things get interesting. While the medieval period is often characterized as a time of limited personal freedoms, in conclusion, we hope you enjoyed this video